Hello Reception Cross, it's Mr. Dice here again. This is the third and the last session in our printing activities, and I was very pleased to hear that you had fun last time with your Monet work that you did with the bridge, and apparently it turned out really well, so I'm very pleased about that. Now today we're going to do, as I say, the last of our printing sessions, but we're not going to use our finger to do printing as we've done in the two sessions that came before this one. I'm going to use, and it may look a bit funny to you, I'm going to use a fork. And the fork is very different from my fingertip. It's got 4 prongs and it's got a nice curve so that it can fit into our mouths. So I'm going to try and show you in a minute how we're going to use all of those shapes, even the end of the fork. I'm going to show you how we're going to use those shapes to make marks on a piece of paper. So without further ado, I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So in this activity, we're going to use the fork to do our printing. And we're not going to start off by making our final picture or pattern. We're going to start off by experimenting and see how things work. So I'm just going on here. I've got a piece of ready mixed paint, which is yellow, and I've got my fork here. And all I'm going to do is dip my fork into the paint. And then when I take my fork out of the paint, you can see I've got some bits of paint stuck just to those 4 prongs. So when I push this down onto the paper, I'm going to make a mark. I'm going to push that down and pick it up and push it down again, because you know that sometimes we can make 2 or 3 prints. I'm just going to have some fun around the paper seeing how that works out. And because that's on light paper, it's going to be a bit tricky for you to see, but I've made those marks with you. Now perhaps I'm going to, because that's a bit difficult, I'm going to go onto my darker piece of paper just for the experiment so you can see. I'll just show you that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see it's getting slightly lighter each time I do it, so you can just have some fun walking that around the piece of paper. Now that's just by pushing it down so that it's just the points. Now I'm going to turn the fork around slightly, so can you see it's got paint not just on the points, it's got paint further on down those blades. So I'm just going to push that down. This time I'm going to, not like that, I'm going to push down like this. And you can see I've made 4 marks again, but they are bigger, so I'm going to do it again. This time I'm going to put more paint on. So I've got more paint on, and I'm going to push that down and push that down again. And so I've got marks like so. So what I want you to do with this one is just have some fun, and don't worry about where you're putting those marks down, but watch carefully what's happening when you put that paint onto the paper. And I'm going to push it down and give it a little swirl. And see, I'm going to push it down and move it and see what happens. After I've done, maybe I could do that. See what happens by pushing it down. Also, I'm going to use the side. So I'm going to put the side in like so. So what I want you to do is have some fun making those marks on a piece of paper. And again, you can print lots of prints from the one. And as I said, if you want to use the tip of that, can you see I'm holding it in the middle, so I'm not getting too much paint on my fingers. And I'm going to put a bit on there, and now I'm going to put that down. So instead of having 4, I've got just 1 single daub, so I can put it exactly where I want it, and that's going to be handy in our pattern making. So I just want your teachers to give you time just to experiment and see what happens when you use the tip or the bottoms or the right at the end of your fork and see what happens. See all the different marks that you can make. You can see how bright that is on a excuse me, on a darker piece of paper. Now, your teachers can stop the video now and give you a little bit of practice time. When you come to do your best piece of work, you'll know how that's going to work. You'll understand that by doing it that way down, you get a little one. By doing it that way down, you get it slightly bigger. And by doing it on its side, you get a longer, thinner mark, curved mark. And by doing it with this one, you get a single one. Now, there's two ways of starting these patterns off. You can either start off by doing almost like a border around the edge, or you can start off right in the middle and work your way out. So one way of doing it is to make your pattern from the outside and then move it inwards, or start from the middle and work outwards. I think I'm going to start from the outside here. So I'm going to put 1, 2, I think about 2 is enough. And I'm going to come down. It's almost like, I don't know if you've ever done cooking with mum or dad, and you've had some pastry and you just, it's called crimping the edge of your pastry. You push it down so that the two bits of pastry fit together to make a nice parcel or a pie. So can you see what I'm doing now? I'm just going around making a border. You don't have to do that, of course. You could do any which way you want. So I'm just making that pattern by pushing that down. Now I'm going to have a go at getting more paint on. So I'm going to put a bigger lot in. And can you see what I'm doing? I'm sort of rocking, because it's like a rocking horse. I'm rocking backwards and forwards, or a rocking chair. So I'm going to put it down. I'm going to be a bit careful where I put it down, because I want to make it go where I want it to go. And then I'm going to do another one. Can you see what this is called? This is what we call repeated patterns. We do the same pattern and we do it over and over again. And that gives a very pleasing effect. It looks really nice. But again, it's your pattern. You do exactly what you want. And maybe you're more comfortable doing it one way or another. Ooh, I'm going to put a bit more on there. Sometimes if it doesn't work first time, you can go back over it a little bit. And now I'm going to add a little extra thing in now. I'm going to put ones like this. So I'm going to use the side, like so. And I'm doing this really quickly so that you can see the possibilities, but you take your time and think about how that pattern's going to be, or just see what happens. Now I'm going to put a little daub with the bottom. It's like almost dotting an I, isn't it? And our handwriting. So there we go. I'm just going to put some more dots, like so. And then to finish off, maybe, what should we do? We'll do some more small ones. And then with these patterns, it's always knowing where to finish, really. It's where to stop, because I could go on now and put more things on, but will it make it better? Maybe I'll put, no, I don't think it will. I'm going to leave it like that. So you can use your fork and your paint, just one colour. On a darker piece of paper it works really well. I've got some, these are ones that I did earlier, so you can see it's similar because it's the fork that's doing it. So we've got the 4 prongs and we've got the 4 dots. But you can just have fun with it, and this was one of my experimental ones which went slightly wrong. But it's quite good to see because you can see the possibilities. But if you do it on paper, and you can see the difference now between my experimental one, where I was just plonking it down anywhere, and then this one where I was being more careful about it. But you do what you think is right, and so have some fun with that. I'm going to make sure you've got all of those forks ready for when you do this work. So as usual, have fun with your art, and I will see you soon.